Hello, viewers. You're welcome again to another edition of First Daily Sports Podcast. And on this edition, we are going to be talking about European football, and we are looking at transfer. The transfer market opened officially a few days ago, and some of the clubs are already making the moves. And those that have money are ready to spend, and those that don't have, they know what they would do. Maybe they just have to go to Lapo and do one of those things. But I have an Arsenal fan. I don't know if they have money, but he's going to tell us if they have money to spend. And I think they should have, because they just won the league and they successfully lost the Champions League trophy against PSG. They may not like it, but that's the reality. And I have Mr. Buller with me, an Arsenal fan, and he's sporting an Arsenal jersey. Yeah. And when you see an Arsenal jersey now, especially after they won the league, there's this confidence it gives you. You can tell us now what it takes to win the league after 24 years.
Well, it's been a long time coming.
Is it 24 years?
22 years.
20.
Okay, it's been a long time coming. But it's good to think that Arteta has been able to get the team, to the finish line this time after 3 successive seasons of finishing second, and it's quite a memorable achievement for the club itself, and I think from here on, the club can only get better, and we hope for the best in the future.
Amen. Well, because I don't know. Now, coaches have been moving, like players have been moving, but there's a particular coach that moved a few days ago, Amorim. Yeah. He had a bad time at Manchester United, almost grounded the team, and he was sacked, and then they brought in Carrick. Carrick did a good job qualifying for the Champions. Now, Amorim has been appointed as the coach of AC Milan. Now, we know what Amorim did while he was at Sporting Lisbon. Won trophies for them, was able to revive the fortunes of the club. Now, AC Milan, they are a club that also needs some sort of revival, because last season they struggled under Allegri. Eventually, at the end of the season, they sacked everybody in the club, barring nobody. So now, Amorim has been brought in. There's this similarity between Amorim's time, what they play in the Serie A. Most teams in the Serie A, about 14 teams, play 3-4-3, 3-defender formation. So that's the typical Amorim formation. One of the problems he had at Manchester United was that he wasn't willing to change his formation. And he said that even if the Pope were to call him, that wasn't going to change the formation. So at AC Milan, he would not need to change the formation, because most of the clubs in Italy, they play 3-4-3. What lessons do you think Amorim can learn from his failed stint at Manchester United to succeed at AC Milan?
Well, I think he needs to take a shift from his tactical stubbornness. He's too stiff with his formations. One of the things he needs to do is he likes playing a back 3. Sometimes he goes 5 at the back, and sometimes he chokes the midfield. But I think for him, for Amorim, his tactics worked well for him while he was at Sporting Lisbon. But it failed him at Man United. So I think he has to be more flexible with an AC Milan side, because AC Milan is a team that wants to rebuild. They cleared the old directors were sacked. They sacked their coach. They have a new coach, and they're also trying to rebuild. What he needs to do is to bring his own. Like you said, football is not static; it's dynamic. Amorim needs to be dynamic with his tactics, with his techniques, and with the way he treats his players. While he was at Man United, he wanted to do a massive cutting, and with that, as a coach, you need to be gradual. He had issues with Garnacho, he had issues with Rashford, and he had to send away Sancho and all that. In areas like that, you have to be technical and tactical with the way you push players away. You don't need to push players under the bus that much. You need to be tactical. You need to be whatever you do needs to be seamless, because if you don't do it that way, it affects the complexion of the team. And sometimes when a coach is not in tune with the players, you start hearing that you have issues with players. Players are not settled with you. Players do not, want to play for you because they feel you're not treating them well. So I think Amorim needs to be more flexible in his approach towards his tactics on the field and the way he treats players in the back room.
Now, AC Milan, the current setup of their players are players suited to four defenders formation. So, and currently we know the financial situation with clubs in the Serie A. Most of them don't have that financial power. For AC Milan now, they don't have that financial power to change almost the whole team.
team.
So it will now look like Amorim has to adapt to what he has
Yes, most
to use the
definitely.
players. Is that not going to be a problem between that? Because if he cannot sign so many players to suit a star, if you're expecting him to use the players that inherited in the team who are suited to four-man defense,
Yeah.
is there not going to be a problem before he even resumes?
Yeah, there might be a problem before he resumes because other teams will try to strengthen. Teams like Juventus that didn't do well in the league,
Even Inter Milan, the
Napoli,
champion,
Inter
Napoli
Milan,
was also the new coach.
they have a new coach. So I think he will struggle in his first 2-3 months on the saddle at AC Milan coach. And the only way he can go about it, like you said, AC Milan does not have that kind of money to throw around, at this time. What I think the only way he can go around it is to go into the free agent market and see which players that can suit his style of play, that he can bring into the team. And also look around in the lesser leagues, of Europe, the back
Can
quarters.
get loan markets.
Can get cheap players who may be of value in the future. That is the same thing that Napoli did while they went to Georgia to bring Kvaratskhelia. Nobody knew about him, but he became, one of the biggest. He's now one of the biggest players in the world. After he made a name for himself, at Napoli, alongside Osimhen when they won the Scudetto after 33 years. So I think he can borrow a leaf from Napoli, go into the backwaters of these leagues, find players that seem obscure but can give you good value in the long run. That's the only way I think he can hold sway.
All right, staying with the Italian Serie A. In the Italian Serie A, there seems to have been a manager merry-go-round.
Yeah.
Most of the teams, they recycle coaches. You see, this coach left AC Milan, Allegri is going to Napoli. Conte will leave Napoli, probably join one of the big teams. And some football fans have come out to say, they find a way of recycling coaches. Some people have come out to say, this is the reason why the Italian football seems to have been static. We see the national team failing to qualify for 2 World Cups, and then we see that even the national team, you don't see exciting players like in the past that you've seen younger players come from the academies. So it looks like Italian football is stuck. It's stuck, and there's this recycling of coaches, but we have some new coaches. Maybe the likes of Fabregas at Como. How do you think? Do you think that can affect the growth of Italian football if you recycle coaches? What happens to changing the coaches? Have fresh tactical minds that will rub off on the national team players. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, it's all about flexibility, and Italian football has not been flexible; it has been rigid over the years. Italian football has been rigid over the years. You can see how a club like Napoli, for instance, coached by Mauricio Sarri, then later Conte, and Conte is off the seat now. There's also AC Milan. AC Milan used to be coached by Pioli. Pioli was sacked, and they brought in Allegri who coached Juventus.
Allegri has coached Juventus, he coached everybody.
The same team with Gennaro Gattuso has coached AC Milan. He coached AC Milan at a certain point. He also coached Napoli. And like you said, the managerial merry-go-round has also affected the national team. They didn't qualify for this World Cup. And if you check the Italian team, they lack quality talent. So that in itself is affecting football in the country. Let's go to England. English teams are adventurous. AC Milan, Liverpool as a team itself, after sacking Arne Slot, they brought in Iraola from Bournemouth. Chelsea sacked their coach too. And they brought in Alonso. The same thing with Manchester United. After sacking Amorim, we are discussing about now, they brought in Carrick, and you can see the fortunes of the team has changed. So I think Italian teams need to borrow a leaf from English teams. They need to try to employ coaches from other climes, young coaches from other climes who have new ideas of the game. And like it's always said, football has gone scientific. It's not as rigid as they used to play in the past. Italian defenders are called butchers, because they have this rigid style of football that if you fail to
Get
play
the
the ball,
Don't
clear
fail
the
to
leg.
get the
Don't fail to
leg.
get the leg. So that tactics is still there, but it should have evolved over time. But it is because they still have these coaches going, recycled coaches going around, the same ideas, no change. So I think Italian football needs to borrow a leaf from the English Premier League. They need to bring in coaches who are up to speed with what the game requires at the moment.
All right, let's go on to the Spanish La Liga. Real Madrid obviously are the biggest team in the world, and right now they are the most. They are the team that everybody is talking about. They just signed Jose Mourinho. Now, some few days ago, to confirm Silva, Cucurella, and they just confirmed Konate today. I'm looking at the Real Madrid team with the players they've brought in, and we know that they had a bad season last year. Last season. Now, they've not won trophy in the last 2 years.
2 seasons, yeah.
We know the issues that happened off the pitch last season with the players turning to boxers, fighting themselves up and down. And now they brought in a disciplinarian in Jose Mourinho, even though some of the club executive do not agree with the option of Jose Mourinho because they are saying that football has evolved. Mourinho is not the young coaches that you want. But Perez has gone for Mourinho because he knows that he's the disciplinarian that can undo that dressing room. If you bring another coach in the mood of Arbeloa into that team, you are setting yourself up for failure because the players will not listen to Arbeloa. So now he has had to go for Jose Mourinho. And now look at the caliber of players they are signing. Now they brought in about 4 players. They're going to bring in Dumfries. There's Silva in the door already. There is Cucurella. There is this guy that just signed today, Konate.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at it now. Now they're also being linked with Fernandes. With all these players, how do you think, with Mourinho in charge of the team, I'm sure we should be expecting a different Real Madrid come next season.
Most definitely. What gave out Madrid last season was the fact that they lacked a spine. They didn't have a good defensive framework. And Mourinho is the master of packing the bus. And he has started building the blocks from the back. He has brought in Dumfries. Dumfries was his first signing. Then he brought in Konate. Rudiger has extended his contract, so he will have a defensive pairing of Konate and Rudiger. Cucurella will most definitely play on the left or the right, or then there's also the Bernardo Silva, issue, side of it. He's the one that is going to replace Luka Modric in that team. So Mourinho, like we all know, he's building the blocks from the back. Like you said, Enzo Fernandez is also in the mix. Enzo Fernandez is also. You have Cucurella, you have Konate, Rudiger, and Dumfries, and in between that, he is looking for a fulcrum, and that fulcrum is Enzo Fernandez. Enzo Fernandez seems to be the next player in line after signing Bernardo Silva, who is going to play the role of that Luka Modric used to play while he was at Madrid. So, like I said, Mourinho is building from the back and expect that he's going to sign more blockbuster players. Yeah. So,
but now with all the players he's bringing in, we also know that means players are going to leave.
Most definitely.
Most of these players that were there, because the defense. Let's start with the defense. New players, about 3 defenders are coming in. It means that 3 defenders are going to leave because already Alaba's left, and Rudiger signed a new deal. The Austin guy is not former captain of
Madrid has also left. Left the club. I can't remember his
name.
Carvajal, yeah.
So 12 of them have left already. So they brought in Dumfries to replace him. So that's something. But there's Trent that joined Real Madrid last season. And some people have said that if you look at Trent Star, a defensive coach will not readily play him.
Most definitely.
Because you know that he cannot fit that star. Trent is an attacking fullback, attacking player. And if you want the basis of your team to be defense, it's not your first choice. But that doesn't mean it is not a good player. But it shows now, because it's a message to Trent.
Yeah.
Mourinho is coming in, and his first month is going to bring in Dumfries, who is solid defensively, who can also be useful in attack, but he can get the job done simultaneously. Does that mean that Trent should begin to look for another club?
Yes. I think his days are numbered at Madrid, and also the national team. He wasn't selected for the World Cup, and there was also an opening after Tino Livramento got an injury, but the Tuchel didn't look.
You went for Chalobah
He went for
instead.
Chalobah instead. So Trent has more coming for him if he doesn't adapt his game to what it demands. Because most coaches now, they want players who are defensive and also can provide.
Especially when you're a coach, when you're a coach like Mourinho, because you know his style is different.
Definitely.
For Mourinho, you can play all the entertaining football, the expansive football, but the basis has to be the defense.
Has to be done.
Now you talked about Enzo Fernandez. He's almost on the verge of joining Real Madrid.
Definitely.
Xabi Alonso is going to join Chelsea. He's going to start his job on July 1st, and Cucurella has left. Fernandez is going to leave. These are the two players that questioned the club's ambition earlier in this, late in the season, and it looks like they're going to leave. I mean, one has left already. The other one is on the verge. What does this say about Chelsea's chances under Alonso? It doesn't portend well for him because you're coming into a new club, a club that needs rebuilding, and two key players are about to leave. What does this say about his chances?
Yeah, one is like one Mourinho building blocks on the back, and one other coach losing two big blocks. So that's the two sides of the coin. Like you said, how will Alonso fare? It's going to be a tough job for him to cleanse your audience table, so to speak, at Chelsea, because Chelsea, if you ask me, is in a mess. Chelsea is in a mess from the front. Their strikers are bereft of ideas. Rory Delap, how many goals did he score in this season?
He scored one goal.
Point strike. So it tells you he has a whole lot of work to do. Enzo Fernandez is about to leave. Cucurella has packed his bag, and the thing is, like I said, there are so many question marks, surrounding the team. Even the goalkeeping department has question marks, around it.
Another angle I'm looking at it from is that Alonso and the board, they've said in private that any player who is not interested in staying, I believe that's a good part. If a new coach is coming in that has been given a title of a manager, which means he's in charge of everything football in that club, if there are some players that are not interested in staying, just for you to be able to have a landing, a soft landing when you resume the job, it's better you allow those old players leave. It's like you're starting under mini rebuild. Because you can't keep unwanted players. In the case of Cucurella, he wanted to go back to Spain, and he's going to be 28 in a few months' time, and they sold him for a 60 million package. If you look at it from the angle of financial package, it's a good deal. And Enzo Fernandez also, we know that he has been fraternizing with Real Madrid before the end of the season. So these two players have shown by their interview, by their body language, that they want to seek greener pastures. So if the money is right for them, I think it's better to let them go and use the money to bring in new players that will suit the style of Alonso, because Cucurella cannot suit Alonso's style. Cucurella is a fullback. He's not a wing back. Alonso will play three at the back, and he will need a wing back. So I believe Chelsea looked at it from those angles and obviously sought the counsel of Alonso before sanctioning the deal. And because and Alonso wants to rebuild the team, he needs players that are ready to go to war for him. So, let's see how Chelsea are able to handle that. But we go straight to Arsenal. Arsenal have been linked.
The champions.
The champions of last season, because season has ended.
They're still the champions.
Season has ended, and the new season. On Friday, the draws will be made. So we'll be talking about Arsenal as the defending champions, not the present champions. Oh, yeah. I had to check that. Now, the Gunners. Last season, for all they did well defensively, they faltered when it mattered most in the attack. We know that Arsenal's forward line last season was I'm trying to be very generous with my word, was bad.
Bad?
Yes. That's something to general. I could have used something more harsh. But on a serious note, the likes of Trossard, Martinelli, I'm not sure they had 20 goals between them.
They didn't have
you look at Saka,
up to 10 goals.
Up to 10 goals. You look at Saka, always injured. Even when he was fit, he wasn't up to the quality that a team that is winning the league should possess. Madueke, never serious. Then Gyökeres just came in. needed time to bed in, but he was still able to get some sizable number of goals
Yeah.
to get Arsenal over the line. But as an Arsenal fan, when you look at it, you know that this is not what we need. It showed against PSG because
Yes, yeah.
for all they did well defensively, they could not punish PSG. They could not
attack.
even lay a finger on PSG. So I'm asking you now, as an Arsenal fan, first, that what are the areas that you think Arsenal should invest on as the summer approaches? And if you have any players, because I already know that they are being linked with
Yeah,
Rogers,
yeah.
and there's one guy from the Belgian league, Club
Solis.
Brugge, Solis, thank you,
Solis, yeah.
that they are being linked with. So who are the players that you think should leave Arsenal for the new set of players to come in to take them a step above what they have?
Well, like I said, they say a good attack wins you games, and a good defense wins you trophies. Arsenal has been able to build from the back. De Gea was exceptional last season,
Yeah, no doubt.
winning the Golden Glove for the third season straight. Gabriel Magalhaes and William Saliba, solid defensive pair. They are being touted as the best defenders in the world. And you also have Calafiori or Ida Hincapi, on the left. And you have Ben White or either Jaren Timber on the right. And in midfield, they have the driving guy, the guy that drives the team, Declan Rice, and sometimes you have Zubimendi and Odegaard, running the strings in the midfield. But I think where Arsenal needs to get it right, like you said, like you asked, I think we need one more creative midfielder, because all through last season, Odegaard failed to hit the heights that he did in the last 2 seasons. He struggled with injuries, and sometimes when he came on, he wasn't his best. And also, the fulcrum, the defensive midfield, Zubimendi started well last season, but at the tail end of last season, he started making mistakes. We watched the game we played against Man United. His wayward pass gave Matheus Cunha that opportunity to score the winner against Arsenal. And in other games too, where his wayward passes cost the team some points. So I think in that midfield department, we need one more creative midfielder who can pair or replace Odegaard, and that's, I think, Arsenal has gotten in their transfer with Morgan Rogers. Morgan Rogers can play the number 10 role. He can also play the left wing. So in that aspect, Morgan Rogers coming in will fill that void, those 2 slots. And on the left wing too is another point or another wing or another department where we need to strengthen, because Trossard and Martinelli, their combined goals last season wasn't up to 8. The only significant goal that Leandro Trossard scored was one he scored against West Ham, which won us the title. So I think Arsenal, like you asked, needs to strengthen in the defensive and creative midfield, and also on the left wing, and also in attack.
What about the striking position?
Yeah, also in
there are
attack.
talks
Yeah, that's where I'm going to.
has not proved
That's where
why they voting for that.
That's where I'm going to.
But I'm going to chip in something.
Okay.
If you are going to bring in a new striker, now that means you are going to sell Gyökeres, because you cannot bring in a striker for over 100 million euros and keep him as a second choice.
Most definitely.
And Gyökeres joined for 60-something million pounds. And I'm thinking, why not give him a second chance? He did fairly good by scoring, at least he scored double figures of goals last season.
14 goals.
And in his first season, I believe they should just give him a chance. There is no financial power like that to sign a striker, sign a left winger, sign an attacking midfielder. I'm not sure Arsenal have that kind of money.
Yeah, we do. If you ask me.
So you think they should let go Gyökeres this season and bring in a new striker?
If you look at the makeup of the Arsenal attack, we technically have 3 strikers. Gabriel Jesus.
That one they go.
so he's out of the question. So I think if he leaves, there will be a space for one more striker.
And Havertz is not a striker. But unfortunately, most times he's been playing as a striker
because Jesus himself has not been able to hold out that shirt. So if you ask me, Gabriel Jesus will leave. And he will be sold for a fraction of what he was bought from Man City, and at least that will bring in some money for a striker hunt, for a striker replacement. So I think Arsenal, most teams have 2 strikers. Well, during Guardiola's era, they had Julian Alvarez and Erling Haaland.
Yeah,
so I think Arsenal can go that way too by selling Gabriel Jesus and bringing in one more striker.
It could maybe not be top. At
Maybe
least
not be
somebody
tough, yeah,
talented that can fight for the shit.
They were talking about Krupi, this guy that
Bournemouth
Bournemouth is also, that guy's in the picture. There's also Julian Alvarez is also in the picture. You know, those two players, those two strikers are in the picture. So I think between these two strikers, Arsenal should target one of them. But if they eventually bring in Alvarez, it will be a question of
They can't sign Alvarez. Because Atletico Madrid, even Real Madrid bid for £150 million.
Yeah.
They didn't sign. So it looks like Atletico Madrid are not ready.
To
and if Alvarez comes in, he's going to come in with a lot of money.
Most definitely.
Over 100 million euros. And he has to be the first choice.
Yeah, most definitely. So I think it's a question of selling Gabriel Jesus.
Bringing one more
striker who's like an understudy to Gyökeres. Or selling Gabriel Jesus and Gyökeres together and bringing in
one major striker. That is enough.
That would be the icing on the cake for Arsenal.
So now, maybe it's too early to ask. Yeah. With all this analysis you've done and the way you have signed the players, does it look like we are seeing, because there's no Pep next season in the Premier League. According to the reports, Man City will be announcing Maresca very soon.
Officially.
And there are going to be 3 new coaches. There's Alonso for Chelsea, there's Zabi, there's Iraola, and then there's Carrick. Maybe Carrick is not that entirely new. But at least most of the coaches for the traditional big C's are going to be new coaches, about 3 or 4 of them. Now, Arsenal, Arteta is the longest serving coach in the Premier League right now. And he looks like he's the most experienced coach in the Premier League right now. And he has a title. He is the defending champion of the title. So if you want to look at it based on all those factors, you may be tempted to say, of course, Arsenal may be one of the favorites next season, but it's looking like, based on all those factors I mentioned, you're not even the best person to ask, because I should not be asking an Arsenal fan. But let me ask you, as an analyst, not an Arsenal fan.
I'll sit on the fence on that.
I'm asking as an analyst, not an Arsenal fan. Do you think Arsenal can go all the way and do what Man City used to do in the past by winning the league twice or 3 times consecutively?
Obviously, yes. I think so. I think Arsenal will go all the way. I think in the next 3 seasons, if they are able to get the right players, sign the right players, and get the momentum going at the beginning of the season, in the last 4 seasons, Arsenal has always, led. Arsenal has always led the table from December upwards. Before they eventually bottle it. So if they continue on that trend, if they have more effective players in the midfield, more effective players in attack that can convert goals and win games, I think, they will consolidate on the trophy they won last season. Arsenal will consolidate on the trophy.
Can they win it?
They can. Yes, they can. They can. They are favorites. They are favorites to win it because, like you said, other teams, Chelsea, Liverpool, even Man United, Tottenham, they are like beginning on a new slate. With new coaches, new tactics,
and they can give Arsenal an advantage.
Yeah, they can give in the early stages of the league. So I think that's where Arsenal needs to, take the momentum from the beginning of the season through to the end. And the only way you can do it is when you win games convincingly. And the only way you can win games convincingly is when you have the quality players to give you those results that you need. And the only way we can do it, like I said, is signing those players that will give you the results in the long run.
You talk about sports, and they are the fortunate end to the season by escaping relegation on the last day of the season. And we know that one man did that. Roberto Di Zerbi came in when they were in the deep waters of relegation and he was able to bring them out and ensure they have place in the league for next season. Now they've started the summer well. They brought in Senesi, brought in Robertson. Now they are going for Tonali, and we are sure they're going to be signing more players. Now, with those players they are signing, we know what Di Zerbi can do. It's like the days of sports struggling for relegation appears to be over from the signings they have made. What do you make of that?
Well, I see better days ahead for Tottenham.
Even though they are rivals.
Yeah, even though they are rivals. I also didn't wish for them to be relegated. Most Arsenal fans wish for them to be because I know I want next season will be very 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 tough,
competitive,
very very competitive, and Di Zerbi is preparing for that phase next season by signing these players you just mentioned. And if you look at his track record, he is a standard coach that knows his onions. From way back from the job he did at Brighton, and although he had a few skirmishes at Marseille before he left. He did a good job there, and I think he's going to replicate that, at Tottenham with the players he signs and his style of play. He has this free flowing attack mind. He's an attack minded coach, and he's going to bring that to bear on this Tottenham team next season. But like we mentioned, the only thing that can determine how far Tottenham will go next season is the kind of players they sign. They won't be in Europe next season. Same with Chelsea. So I think it will be hard for clubs like that to attract players. Top flight players, or grade A players, if you want to use that word. It will be very, very hard for them to attract such players. But both clubs are big clubs, and players who still have ambition or want to hit the heights in football will definitely want to play for those clubs. But I think it's going to be tough for Zerbi, but I know he's up for the task.
Now, Liverpool, they have a new coach. Finally, they sacked Slot. Even though they let it late, they had probably just respected him by waiting to the end of the season to sack him. Now they brought in Iraola. Iraola did a great job at Bournemouth, got them into Europe, and then we saw the style of play they played. Even after losing most of their key players almost every season, he has a way of galvanizing the boys to ensure that they do their best. That was their best ever finish in the history of Premier League. Was that not going to be a big step up for him? This is the first biggest job of his career, and a place like Liverpool. And it's not what he saw last season. He won the league in his first season. He took every team out of his way. But in the following season, after spending over £400 million, they struggled badly. And now there's a coach which looked like a star. Liverpool star. It's like plug and play. He's a coach that is used to this pressing, fly style of play, again pressing style of play. He wants to press you into submission. And Liverpool are also a team that thrives when their players can play again pressing style of play. That's their style. And it looks like this is a marriage made in heaven for both of them.
Yeah, it is. It is. One of the reasons why Slot won in his first season was he used the Klopp's template, the game pressing. And in the second season, which just
ended,
he wanted to try his own style, and that's made him fall out with Salah. That was one of the reasons why he fell out with Salah.
And Salah had to criticize him before he left.
Tactics. One of the reasons why I think Slot pushed through Salah under the bus was the fact that Salah didn't want to play his own style of football, and I think other players who didn't want to play.
But he fell out with most of the players because the style was foreign to them.
So that's what Iraola needs to guide against. He needs to play a style that is familiar with the players. I'm not saying he should play Klopp's style again, but he can bring his own, formations and tactics. But the underlying factor or the underlying foundation of whatever tactic is putting out,
players are used to already.
It should be a high press. It should be a high press tactics, and I think Iraola is cut out for the job. And all he needs to do is to be in tune with the players, listen to listen to what their demands, in terms of how they like to play it, and also for him to infuse that into his own tactics, his own style and tactics.
Can he handle the pressure of coaching a top club?
That's another question. That's another question. He has never coached a big club before, and the pressure of coaching a club like Liverpool can be overwhelming sometimes. And you need a coach that is mentally strong, that has that mental capability, that has that mental strength to be able to, because sometimes the team will lose, the team will play badly, obviously. So it behoves on the coach to, see how he can manage the players, manage the club, and also the temperament of the fans, because there's no way you can coach a club or be a coach of a club and leave the fans out of it. You need to carry the fans along. So he has to marry all of these things together. Find tactics that will, that is suitable to the players under his charge, and also he needs to find a way to carry the fans along.
Because there's no Liverpool without the fans.
They don't walk alone.
All right, they don't walk alone. That's how much you can take on the podcast today. Join us again next week.
All right.
If they leave us, they go.